Hello students. In this video, we are going to study about the histology of pancreas, and we are going to study the exocrine part of pancreas, and this is part of the unit 6, the histology part of endocrinology and reproduction paper. What is pancreas? Pancreas is a leaf-like yellow-colored gland, and it is situated in the duodenal loop part of the abdomen, and it is made up of both exocrine and endocrine parts. So therefore, it is commonly called compound or mixed gland. Now, what we observe in our body is that either the gland is exocrine, secreting hormones or secreting enzymes, and or the endocrine glands, which mainly secrete the hormones. So the glands with ducts are called exocrine glands, and the glands without duct, they are called endocrine glands. But this pancreas is a special gland because it is made up of both the exocrine part and endocrine part. And when we study it histologically, we find that only a small portion, say around 2% of the pancreas, is associated with endocrine function, and the remaining 98% is mainly made up of exocrine part. Here in this diagram, you can see the position of the pancreas. So this is the liver, right? And in the abdomen, you find the uh, intestine. So after stomach, the small intestine forms the duodenal loop. So the duodenum forms a loop-like structure, and in this loop you find this pancreas situated. And you can see it is a elongated leaf-like structure, and anatomically we can identify the head, neck, body and tail parts of the pancreas. So this is situated very near to the duodenum because the secretion, the exocrine secretion of the pancreas is pancreatic juice, and this pancreatic juice will actually combine with the bile juice, and then this juice is going to be secreted in the duodenum, and there it is going to be associated with the digestion function of the nutrients which we have consumed in the form of food. Since we study the endocrine part of the pancreas in another topic or in another chapter, here we are concerned only with the study of the exocrine part of the pancreas. So exocrine part is represented by large triangular shaped cells forming the structures called pancreatic acini. Now histologically, when we study the pancreas, we see it made up of the cells and connective tissue and a capsule surrounding the organ, etc. So the functional cells are the acinar cells. Okay, so you can see here these are the cells which are almost triangular in shape, and these cells are the ones which are involved in the secretion of enzymes or the secretion of the pancreas. Now, the exocrine cells of the pancreas are called acinar cells. So this structure is going to be called as acini, and each cell which are involved in the functioning of the pancreas, they are called acinar cells. Whereas the endocrine part of the pancreas is actually represented by islet of Langerhans, and islet of Langerhans is made up of smaller sized cells. Histologically, they can be differentiated into alpha cells, beta cells, and delta cells. And you already studied it in another chapter that beta cells secrete insulin hormone and alpha cells secrete glucagon hormone, and these two hormones are involved in glucose homeostasis. But here, let us concentrate ourselves with the exocrine part of the pancreas. Now, in this diagram, it is just to show you how the structures of the pancreas are arranged. Okay, this is the pancreas, the diagrammatic representation of the pancreas, and This is the enlarged picture of one small portion of the pancreas. You can see here in this three-dimensional picture the lobules, I mean the pancreatic acini arranged like this. Okay, so these are the pancreatic acini, and each pancreatic acini contains acinar cells. So you can see the cells which is having a very large nucleus, and the nucleus is actually located in the basal part of the cell. And of course, like any other organ or gland, you find the connective tissue in between the acini. And from each acini, one duct originates. Okay, so the ducts, small sized ducts originate, and then they combine to form another larger sized duct. So like this, ultimately they join together to form the pancreatic duct. So what are those ducts? We'll study in the further slides. So this is how the pancreas is organized. And you can see here, this is the endocrine part represented by the islet of Langerhans, whereas this one is the exocrine part. So the pancreas has both exocrine and endocrine part together. But compared to the exocrine part, the endocrine part is very small in composition. Now, the delicate capsule surrounds the pancreas. So, like many other organs of the body, pancreas is also surrounded by a capsule which actually protects the pancreas from the other parts of the abdomen. And when we take the section, what we observe is the septa. It extends from the capsule into the gland. So the outermost layer is capsule, and one septa, one wall-like structure. It is nothing but connective tissue, and this septa literally extends inside the pancreas. And because of this septa, the cellular part of the pancreas, what we call the parenchymal part, it is actually divided into many lobules, right? So the septa which penetrates into the pancreas divides the pancreatic mass into different lobules, into many lobules. And each lobule is actually made up of many acini, and each acini is made up of acinar cells. So this is how the pancreas structure or the pancreas cells are organized. So the exocrine part of the pancreas is in the form of a serous, compound, tubulo-alveolar gland. So that is how the structure appears, tubulo-alveolar gland, because alveolar tissue is there, and tubules are there to carry the secretion of these cells. Now, uh, let us continue with the study of the exocrine part. The secretory elements of the exocrine pancreas are long and tubular. Now, in the next slide, I will explain this. Actually, the secretion, the functional part, what we call the acini, they are elongated tubular structures, but in the section, they appear rounded or oval. So you can see here in this picture, these are alveoli, right? So these are the alveoli. You can say this is one alveoli. In this diagram, you can see this is one alveoli, and this is the transverse section of pancreas showing the septa, and this is one lobule, and in lobule you find many acini, and each acini is made up of acinar cells. So in the section, these acini actually appear oval or rounded. So that's why we can't imagine that it is actually made up of long and tubular structures. Anyway, we can consider the acini as oval structures as it appears in the transverse section. Now, in acini, what you can see is the lumen. The lumen is very small, and lining cells appear in section. They appear in triangular shape. So they are triangular in shape, which we already discussed, and they have a nucleus. Each cell has a nucleus which is located at the base of the cell. Now remember, pancreatic cells are very active as far as the production of proteins are concerned because they produce enzymes. So therefore, the cytoplasm is more granular, and that indicates the functional nature of the pancreas. I mean, uh, under the electron microscope, when the cells are observed, we can find more number of or more amount of rough endoplasmic reticulum, because rough endoplasmic reticulum, the presence of rough endoplasmic reticulum is indication of the active protein synthesis nature of the cells. Now, in this uh, transverse section picture, the enlarged picture, we can see the different parts, right? So this is the endocrine part, a very small portion which is called islet of Langerhans, and these are the acini. You can see there are so many acini, and in each lobule, this is one lobule. So there are ducts, right? Different kinds of ducts like intercalated duct, intralobular duct, interlobular duct, which will later get converted into the pancreatic duct, right? So this is how the histological structure appears under the microscope. Now, as I already mentioned in a previous slide, this is how the cells are organized. So this is a tubular structure actually. So the pancreas is made up of such tubular structures. So you can see the long tubular structure. But when we take the section, it simply appears like a oval or rounded acini. And here you can see these are the tubes made up of the cells of the duct. Okay, you can see these are the ducts, and these are the cells of the duct, and these are the functional acinar cells, right? And in this picture, uh, the same acinar cells are shown with higher magnification, right? So this is the intercalated duct. We'll see what is intercalated duct in the next slide. And each cell shows a lot of zymosin granules. I told you, since they are very active in protein synthesis, because they synthesize large amount of enzymes, so they have large quantity of zymosin granules. And presence of rough endoplasmic reticulum is also a characteristic feature of pancreatic acinar cells. Now, the ducts of pancreas. So till now we studied the acinar cells, which are actually the functional cell of the pancreas. Now let us familiarize ourselves with the ducts of pancreas. Now pancreas, the exocrine part means the gland with duct. Now what are those ducts which are present in the pancreas? Pancreas consists of a duct system which carries the secretion of acinar cells to the intestine. Now what is the secretion of acinar cells? Acinar cells produce enzymes, and the collective fluid which is produced by the pancreas is called pancreatic juice. Now this pancreatic juice, it contains enzymes to digest carbohydrate, protein, lipid part of the food, right? Uh, I think in another topic we came across the intestine, right? So intestinal gland. Now digestion process depends upon the enzymes secreted by pancreas and intestinal glands. So the pancreatic juice also contains the enzymes like carbohydrases, proteases, lipases, etc., which will act upon the food parts like carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. And intestinal gland is going to secrete, or intestinal gland cells are having the enzymes like carbohydrates, proteases and lipases. So together these two glands and their secretions are going to complete the digestion process. Now here let us come back to the pancreas. The pancreas has a very complicated, its own duct system, and the ducts are, first one is intercalated duct. So they are short ducts with a small lumen that start within the acini. As I already mentioned, acini is a long tubular structure which appears oval in the cross section or in the transverse section. So the tube, the duct which is present or which forms the acini, that duct is called intercalated duct. So the initial intra-acinar portion of the intercalated duct is lined by simple squamous epithelial cells. Now, if we study the type of cells of the intercalated duct, we see that it is made up of flat squamous epithelial cells. And these cells are called centroacinar cells. Now, when we study the section under the microscope, we can differentiate the centroacinar cells and the actual acinar cells. So the acinar cells are the functional part of the gland, whereas the centroacinar cells are the part of duct. So these are flat cells and they are triangular shaped, cuboidal or triangular shaped cells. And the centroacinar cells, the presence are where we find the centroacinar cell, that part, that point signify the beginning of the ductal system of the exocrine pancreas. Now the second duct are intralobular ducts. So the first kind of ducts join into the intralobular ducts, and these are lined by simple low columnar epithelium, right? And columnar epithelium form the intralobular ducts, and these intralobular ducts flow into the larger interlobular ducts. The interlobular ducts are located within the interlobular connective tissue septa. In the beginning only, I told you the capsule and the septa, the wall of the connective tissue, it starts from the capsule and it extends into the pancreas. And we find the connective tissue dividing the mass of pancreas into different lobules. So this connective tissue has the interlobular ducts, and the interlobular ducts drain into the main pancreatic duct. So all the interlobular ducts join together to form a larger duct called pancreatic duct. And sometimes the secretion may end up in accessory pancreatic duct called duct of Santorini. The main pancreatic duct travels from the tail to the head of the pancreas, collecting secretion from all the interlobular ducts along the way. So here you can see this is the pancreas and this is the tail part and this is the head part. The pancreatic duct, it actually runs from the tail part to the head part, and this duct collects the secretion of all the pancreatic acini. The secretion of each and every cell is ultimately going to enter into the pancreatic duct. And what happens to this pancreatic duct? This pancreatic duct actually joins with the common duct, and again, it will join with the bile duct forming a common duct, and that common duct will open into the alimentary canal part, that is the duodenum part of the small intestine. Now that's about the ducts. So 4 different kinds of ducts we find in the pancreas. And just to discuss with the help of diagrams, you can see here the magnified view of the duct, right? And this is the transverse section of the pancreas, showing both the exocrine and endocrine part. This one is the endocrine part, that is Langerhans, and these are the acini, showing the acinar cells or the functional cells of the exocrine part. And you can see here the ducts. This is intralobular duct, and here you find the interlobular duct, and this is the large pancreatic duct, which is actually formed by the fusion of these interlobular ducts. Okay, here this one, interlobular ducts. Now under the microscope, the section somewhat looks like this, showing the septum. So these are the extended septum part, and here in these parts we find the interlobular ducts. Now that was the topic about the exocrine part of the pancreas. So we studied the histology of pancreas, and we studied the exocrine part of the pancreas. I hope that was useful and meaningful for you. Thank you.